All right, so this is the third time I tried to do this little review. I wanted to kind of brag on a Harbor Freight tool here. My camera battery kept going dead. So anyway, this is a half-inch Pittsburgh Ratchet. And it's got the expandable head. It starts out, I think, around 12 or 13 inches, and then you can pull this collar back and it expands out almost like a breaker bar. I think it's like 17 and a half inches what it expands out to. You pull the collar down. It's adjustable. It's got different holes where to lock into. So you can basically make this ratchet almost, from 12 whatever inches to 18. There's a lot in between there anyway. So I was in Harbor Freight for something else. I go to Harbor Freight. I like their toolboxes, obviously. I have one of their 54-inch toolboxes and one of their roll-around carts. I've always used Craftsman for years, obviously. But I wanted a big toolbox, and anyway, I wasn't going to spend $5 or $6 or $3 grand a snap-on box. I know that can start a huge argument. People say, well, it's a better box, blah, blah, blah. But in my opinion, the box doesn't make you money. It just holds your tools. And I've had this box now, I guess going on three years maybe, and it's held up awesome. And I use it almost every day. But that's a whole other story, another review. Anyway, I just wanted to brag on this little ratchet because when I got this, I think it was like $15.99 on sale. And the only reason why I got it is because it expands like that. I think Snap-on has one like that, similar. And I have S&K, Snap-on, Craftsman, Cobalt ratchets in the half-inch. So I didn't really buy this because I needed it. I bought it because I thought it was kind of neat and it was cheap. And to be honest with you, I fully expected to break it at some point. Now, I've had it probably close to 2 years maybe. And I've done, probably a year ago, I did a bunch of work on a 1-ton Dodge and a 3/4-ton Chevy pickup truck. And the Dodge had something seized on the hub. I can't remember what it was. But I expanded this thing out all the way and really stood on this thing hard. I mean, we're talking incredible amount of torque. And I actually fully expected it to break. And it held up. I couldn't believe it. It didn't bend it at all. Stayed straight. And it held up. And that was probably a year ago. And it's still working. I use it quite a bit, actually. Anytime I don't really use my breaker bar that much anymore. Anytime I got something half-inch drive that's real tight, I pull this out, and it's held up. I have to give Harbor Freight credit. It's held up awesome, and I would recommend it to anyone. I know, your hardcore techs will be like, oh, I would never have a Harbor Freight ratchet or whatever, and, I understand that. It's just kind of like when you own a Harley. You got to pose for everybody. So, but if you're a do-it-yourselfer or starting out as a mechanic or tech or someone, this is a great ratchet, and it's got a lifetime warranty on it, and it's held up really, really well. And I'm talking about, and it's done, several jobs. And I really thought it would have broke by now, but it hasn't. It's the only Harbor Freight ratchet I have. I don't really have hardly any Harbor Freight hand tools. I think I have a couple of their specialty sockets, and I got this, and that's it. I mean, basically, Harbor Freight I buy their jacks. They have really good jacks, I think. The one jack I've had for going on 4 years. It works great. Never had a problem with it. Never loses pressure. I got their boxes, of course, and I don't know, maybe just a few little hand tools here and there. I really like their little pop clip popper or whatever it's called. I think I showed that in a previous video. I might, but anyway, yeah, if you're in Harbor Freight and you pick one of these up, they're pretty cheap. And like I said, I'm not sponsored by Harbor Freight, of course, but I will make little videos like this here and there if some stuff I like. This is just one of the things that I use quite a bit that I like. So anyway, yeah, it's a good investment, and it's got a lifetime warranty on it, so even if you do break it somehow, they'll go ahead and replace it. So I think this is like those lights and a few other things they have. It's just a home run. the money that you put out on it and what it does and how it performs is just, it's really incredible. And, you know, if even me, I've been doing this a long time, and I have Snap-on and SNK and all that stuff, but even something like this, even a seasoned mechanic could use something like this, and it's not a big investment, and it works really well. So next time you're in there, pick one of these up, and you won't be disappointed, I don't think, because unless it's a freak accident, this thing's been incredible. Like I said, I've literally stood on this thing to get bolts loose, and it's held up. Like I said, I fully expected them to break, and it hasn't. So it's a nice little tool to add to your box, and yeah, that's it. It's my little review on this Harbor Freight Pittsburgh 1/2 inch expandable ratchet.